Kelly Cat. Hi. We're just waiting for a group to join in. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. Hello. Hi, my kitty. We'll just wait till we have a group of people and we'll get started. Hey, Mohawk lady. Well, thanks for that information, Jamie. Too bad you didn't have a little bit of class. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Francine or Amanda. Right? Jesus. Oh, God. I'm well, thank you. I'm well. It's a beautiful night. I'm sitting in my little sacred spot. Yeah, well, you're proving it, Jamie. You're proving it. Too bad you couldn't do the other thing that some of us are trying to do. But to show where the good lies in this universe. Hey, Nicole. How are you? Welcome here. Jamie, if you don't behave yourself, you do know I'll block you. Yes. Yes, so you get that one warning, dude. That's about it. Oops. I gotta get my music right. You're doing well? Good. Your first time? Good. Welcome here. Oh, you're welcome. This is my sacred space. I have a couple of spots that I find very sacred. This is where I do a lot of my readings. And where I do my counseling. And where I come to sit when I just want to be with the crystals and all of those wonderful things that I have in this space. Grand Rising. Welcome here. Oh, I'll keep him in check. He probably went on his way already. Oh, good. I'm so glad that you caught me then. Tell me a little bit about you. What's your name? Hey, Golden Healer. Oh. Golden Slumbers. First time. Welcome here. Welcome here. Welcome here, everyone. Hi, we're just kind of waiting for... I just realized we actually do have a group. Welcome here. You have reached my page. My name is Tamare White Wolf, and I have created something called the White Wolf Coven. And this is for all of those witchy people or creative, spiritual people who are connected to the earth, who want to talk more about how to stay connected. And if you're missing a connection to one of the elements, we'll talk about that. If you're missing a connection to the climate and the seasons, we'll talk about that. To the moon, to the planets that are out there, retrograde and stationed and flowing correctly. And finally to the animals and to the nature around us, because they speak to us, you know. For instance, you know, I have cats. I have dogs, I have cats. And I think a lot of people do have a lot of domestic animals, but then there's other animals that speak to us, you know. For instance, hawks, blackbirds. For instance, this particular area I'm living in right now, right this moment, has about 500 blackbirds outside, just squawking and singing and talking, and you know, they just remind me of what it's all about, community. And about, you know, communing together, communicating together. Your parrot speaks. Cool. I like that, you know. I think it's something that, you know, I wish more birds could actually communicate fully with us, like a parrot could, for instance. But I think that we can teach ourselves to listen. Yeah, I guess they are kind of scratchy voices. Native American. I see in New York, right on. Owl? Yeah. owls are very interesting creatures, depending on where you see them. And that's another thing. Depending on where you see an animal, which direction it's in, what context it's in, what it's doing, all of those things kind of matter if you're trying to understand what the earth is saying and what is being spoken to you. So there was a lot of questions about crows and owls when I posted a couple of clips on TikTok here. And so I want to answer some of those questions. And ravens and butterflies, yes. So I'm going to answer some of your questions about that. Our owl looks us in the house. What does that mean? Please and thank you. Well, I guess somebody's keeping an eye on you for real. You know, that actually interesting. The first thing that came to mind is someone really is keeping an eye on you in real life. Now, owl is associated to the Sagittarian. The Sagittarian, and mostly the Sagittarian energy is a wise wisdom seeker kind of energy, right? They're philosophical people. Their planet's Jupiter, so they're really out there and they're thinking, and they're always looking at the spiritual meaning of things and trying to educate themselves. When we look at owl, we associate owl to the Sagittarian because of that. But the other thing about it is owl can reveal deception, because the way owl works is with their wisdom, they are able to eye out things that don't feel right, or don't align with something. They can spot the problem areas pretty quickly, normally. But if your owl medicine is not seeing what's going on around it, that means it's in reverse, and it needs to be worked on. It needs to be healed. It needs to be rested. It needs to be reset. So you need to be thinking of these things. So when an animal like an owl comes to you, is it coming to you in a good energy, with a good energy, or is there some problem area? Did it kill something? Did you see it dead? Did you get a feather? Did you see it in flight? Did you see it in the day? Did you see it in the night? Hey, there's a poem in there. But yeah, right? So this is really about Sagittarian educating themselves on things of philosophical subjects, basically, or even not just philosophical, but educational, maybe even a theological. That poem is awesome, right? So seriously, I think, and that's another interesting thing, when we speak to spirit, when we speak and commune to spirit, if we allow ourselves to speak from our heart, we will often find ourselves in rhyme. And it's very interesting how that will work. For instance, if you're witch walking or nature bathing or forest bathing or whatever you want to call all of that, I think that when you are connecting with the earth and communing with the earth, she speaks back, right? So those blackbirds, yeah, they're pretty amazing. So crow is and raven are very interesting brother-sister types of energies. And crow is often speaking to us about Mother Earth and the patterns of Mother Earth. In your oak tree, oh wow, that's a good thing. If the owl is living in your backyard, in your oak tree, I would say the oak would represent ancestors, the strength of your ancestors, right? And being in the back, oh, thank you. I was just there. I just left. I was there from the 22nd until the 27th. You missed me, my friend. Whoops. What are you doing, Rock? No, I didn't. Did someone send that? All right. Okay. Everybody's coming at me quickly, so just give me a second. I'll try to explain. So crow and raven. Here's where they differ. Yes, the raven is a bigger bird in general, right? But it also represents magic and the act of being magical and the act of doing magic. So it represents, communing with the side that isn't understood by most. It is the moon side, where there is illumination in darkness, right? And it's interesting because the owl also is a part of that. The owl is about seeing in the darkness, which is the reason why it's able to see through deception, see through darkness. And raven is a similar bird, and because but the difference between raven and owl, I would say, is that raven is even more mystical because it doesn't give away what it's thinking. It's quieter about it. It's watchful. The owl is watchful too, but it often says who, right? So it's speaking even more than the raven, where the crow is quite yappy. But you do hear croaks and caws. The caws, I would say, coming from the crow, and the croaking more coming from the raven, right? Where the owl is hooting. Yes. So yes, I'll speak of blue jay, and I'll also speak of woodpecker. Hang on. So raven is also often associated to Libra, because Libra energy really likes that shiny thing, right? They like what's shiny, and in fact, ravens and crows both like shiny, silver especially. And we often see them with the moon for that same kind of energy, that silver moon, that silvery energy. But my grandfather had a friend that was a crow, and the crow would steal all of the necklaces it may have found, or glasses and scissors and things, anything silver, and bring it back to his house. And my grandfather had a bowl full of all of these things that the crow had brought him. And then every week he would remind people to come to his house to come and find whatever they were missing. And of course he would give it all back. But that shows you a little bit about crow and raven. They really like their shiny, their silvery energy. And really, when we think of raven and the energy that it has, it's a very mystical... Oh, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing? My cat. Come here. Come on up here. Come on. Come here, honey. Come here. This is Rocky. This is my boy, Rock. This is Rocky boy. As he missed me when I was in Ontario. Okay, so a raven is more majestic. It is more magical. It is more secretive in its magic, where the crow gives away a little more. Ravens are more observant and more thoughtful, or not thoughtful, but more thought processing. That's a good way to put it. But both birds are very smart, very, very smart. And the crow would represent more Mother Earth. So when I'm seeing the raven, I'm thinking, okay, what magical thing do I need to connect with? What magical moment do I need to enhance in my life? Is there a Sabbath or something, a seasonal thing that I need to do? So when I see or hear raven, I always am called to be at my altar to recognize something in a magical way. So when I see raven, that's where I go. Crow to me is a reminder to get my butt outside, go for nature walks, go take the cats for a walk, and believe it or not, they actually go for a walk. Take the dogs with me, and everybody, let's all go for a walk. Sometimes it also reminds me to harvest. When I see a lot of crow energy, it is like a reminder. It's like a nagging reminder to get my butt in the garden and pull those tomatoes out of there, or pull the squash out, or whatever. Sort of a reminder to pay attention to what's happening around us in Mother Nature. So when I see crow, it is a reminder to be active with nature in some way, and often dutifully, like your gardens. So keep that in mind when you see crows, where the raven is more of a calling to the magical side, to do your work on the magical side of life. So we're looking at, let's go. A couple of people were asking some other things about, let's say, blue jay. Blue jay is one of those birds that I always kind of associate it to like a corporate dude. They come into the space, and they're checking things out, and they got their their wings up and their hat on, and they're looking really chipper, and they're checking everything out. They're quite aggressive, those birds, and they're very verbal. I'll get to that. And they're very, very verbal about things, and they steal. They do thieve things. So, when you think of the corporate guy, he's always looking at how to get his edge, or how to, get his edge on the market. Not necessarily a thief. However, there's plenty of it in the corporate world. But they can be very, very entitled. They're a bird that can be very entitled. White hawk. Oh, white hawk is beautiful. You call them cheeky buggers. Well, they are cheeky buggers. They absolutely are. And, there's some gray bluebirds too. And they're pretty cheeky as well. That's a good word for them. Where, let's say hummingbird. Someone mentioned about hummingbird. I absolutely have such love for hummingbirds because they represent the bringing of joy. And, hey! Rocky, leave her alone. My cats are having a fight. Hang on. Rocky, leave her. Hey, come here, you. Rock. Get out of there. Get out of there. Leave her alone, you little monster. Hang on, I'm going to let the cat out. Go on. There you go, Missy. Sorry about that. Hey, so back to the, we were talking about hummingbird, but I did forget to tell you something about bluebird. So if you're seeing a blue jay, a blue jay being an aggressive, cheeky little bird could also indicate that you too are being cheeky or aggressive. So pay attention. It could be sort of like a gentle reminder to back off. It could be it could also be a reminder to step it up. It just depends. So you have to pay attention to, how you are behaving, what you're feeling, what you were thinking, which direction did it come in? Did it come in from the south? Did it come in from the north? If it came in from the south, it would probably represent more you need to be more assertive. If it comes in from the north, it probably means you need to back off. So it just depends, okay? So you got to pay attention to things like that. And you need, when you're learning about animal or animism, and what does it mean, what does the animal symbology means, don't forget that it also matters what direction it came in from, what it was doing. Just don't forget that, because it does apply. It's that's why I always say that Mother Earth is my best psychic, because she will speak to you if you're paying attention. And she will speak to you in combinations of things. So she will speak to you using the trees and the animals, and using the elements and the seasons. She will speak to you. If you just listen and pay attention, you'll be able to understand what's actually going on. So the car does represent power. So whenever something affects our vehicle, it would mean it affects our power in some way. Okay? So keep that in mind as well. So the hummingbird, back to the hummingbird is about a joy, or bringing of joy from a painful place. So when we have had a difficult time, or a worrisome time, or things have kind of been low energies, and all of a sudden there's a hummingbird around, that is sort of a bringer of joy, a bringer of light, a bringer of playfulness. But they're also pretty squawky and pretty assertive. If they want something, they're going to come up and tell you. They always tell me when I need to fill up that sugar water. But also when you're putting out the sugar water and the birds are coming to you all the time because you're feeding them, it doesn't represent as much as a medicine teaching or a medicine lesson to you, unless something significant happens out of that ordinary, if you know what I mean. So suppose you have been feeding them for a while and there's never been any altercations, and all of a sudden one comes flying at you and is squawking away. So that could represent that someone that you love and care for, someone that you feel a comfort with, will have a conflicting situation, and you'll hear about it. Okay, could represent that. So then it's not so much of a bringer of joy, or more of a bitchin' and whiner, because honestly, hummingbirds can go from joy and light and playfulness to crabby and whiny and dangerous. They can fly right by your head with, they could get you. 3 crows waiting on me every day. And that's another thing. When you add up the number of how many birds of that nature are you seeing, like 3 crows would be significant on some levels because it could represent the maid, mother, and the crone. It could represent the above, below, within. It could represent past, present, future. It really depends. This is why it will take you some time to fully understand. But when I say those things, if something comes to mind, and then that is the thing that you want to align with, because if it feels right, use your instincts. It's likely, if you feel it in your body and it says, yes, that sounds right, what Tamare says, then it probably is. Okay. Oh, spiders. Spiders, another good one. Oh yeah, I love spiders. I don't really like them crawling on me, for sure. I do have a little freaked out thing about spiders. I'll talk about hawks in a minute, Hannah. Hawks are the most requested conversational piece of all the animals in the world, as far as I can see. It would be hawks. Because hawks are actually the messenger. So we'll talk about hawks in a minute. Back to spiders. So spiders, and by the way, I have ADHD, so please slow down a little bit. All right, so spiders are the grandmother. They are the weaver. They are the storyteller. They are the creepy crawlers for a lot of people. A lot of people don't want to be like their grandmothers and their grandfathers, but if they don't know about what their grandmothers and grandfathers experienced, then they're not going to be very wise in life. In following the old patterns, when we look at the webs that a spider creates, consider that for a minute. These are like segments of let's say they're like days of a week, or maybe it's a week. Maybe that box, that one, little square that is created on that web represents a certain period of time. So then when we look at the web and we see, it's funny because we were talking about webs. My other son, Andrew, and I were talking about spiders this morning, or the energies of spider webs. So, a lot of times we cluster. Let's say, all of our friends are this type of this group of people. But that would be a section of the web, for instance, okay? But what about looking at the web where we look at one segment and go all the way around? So all of those that touch each other in a circle, all of those are connected as well. Those energies are also connected, but they're not as the same as each other. They're not as similar as the clumps of energy. So when they're spread out like that, they all have a piece of the pie. It would be sort of like all the native tribes in the world, they all on the spider web in a circle like this, right? Each having their own segment. And then there'd be all the witches also have another one, all the different types of witches, or let's say all the different types of teachers, or all the different types of artists, and so on and so on. So when we look at the web and we look at it that way, we can see our interconnectedness more honestly, more authentically, more fully. So we really are connected in so many ways, not just in clumps, not just by in this segment or this era, but also in the longer or bigger scheme of the universe. So you are connected to your ancestors, for instance, and they're connected to their ancestors, and then so on and so on, and you're connected to all of those ancestors. So the point of the spider web and the spider is to remember our connection, to remember our interwovenness and its intrinsicities. I can't say that word right now. I don't know why. You know what I'm saying. Okay, so that's, and spiderweb is about the grandmother because she holds all the old teachings, all the old ways, and thank you for all the likes and the loves. That's really nice. It's always nice when you just stop for a second and hit that screen a whole bunch of times, send some love into the algorithm and into the room. Please, I'd be so grateful if you would take a moment and send a bunch of love and likes into the room. Well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Yeah, well, this is my area. Shamanism is what I'm speaking on. I would consider myself a shaman witch. Thank you. Thank you. I would consider myself a bit of a shaman witch, okay? And I think, spider's been one of the creatures that I have really aligned with for many reasons, because I recognize the matriarchy in my work. I recognize the ancestors, the grandmothers, and our connection, and what I'm teaching you, what I'm sharing with you is the wisdom of the elders, the wisdom of the grandmothers and the grandfathers, right? But I mean, I'm a female, so I mean, my alignment is more with the feminine and the matriarchy, and I try to share with you as much as I can regarding that. To open your gifts is to sit with people like myself as much as you can, to read books from people like myself who have written them, to go to gatherings with people in real life, moon circles with others, celebrate pagan festivals, pagan pride. You meet all kinds of interesting people like that in those kinds of groups. I think native powwows, native gatherings. It depends on your own bloodline and what your heart speaks loudly about. You know what I mean? So somebody else, let's go back to the animals. So we're speaking about hawks. I want to talk about hawks. Let's talk about hawks, because that is, like I said, one of the most common creatures that has visited so many of us. And many of us, having visitations by hawks, ask the question, why? What are they all about? So I would say that the most important message hawk has for you is pay attention to the messages. Seriously. That's it, in a nutshell. Pay attention to the messages. So when you see hawk, it is a reminder to be watchful, be mindful, to pay attention to what's going on around you. Pay attention to what's going around to the people that you love. The animals even, pay attention to that. Pay attention to the symbols, signs, climate, everything. And one of the things that I think hawk does is it is a messenger that you're on the right path. It could be a messenger that you need to let go of some anger. It's associated to Aries, as I've shared before with others. And it could be a reminder to temper your temper, like sort of mellow out. Because sometimes I think that it depends on you and your relationship with the hawk and what type of hawk it is, to be honest, and where you're seeing it. And sometimes the hawk will, show up when we're traveling to say, you're on the right path. It's good job, good for you. Take your time. Everything will be all right. I know for me, when I see hawk, especially since my mother's in Aries, it's sort of like a reminder that I'm being watched over by the mother, by the universe, and I'm in good hands. So don't worry about it, right? When I see a hawk, I get that message. That's how I feel when I see a hawk. So it really depends, does it mean that maybe you're going to have an altercation with an Aries? Well, it depends. If that hawk comes flying across your windshield and you're driving and it scares you and you almost get into an accident, I would say you're going to be jarred by some, altercation by someone who's being aggressive. So it does matter how that hawk comes to you. Did the blood from the hawk? I don't understand. I didn't see the first part, Colleen. Yes, exactly. And we'll talk about butterfly in a moment, Tom. So I think, the hawk is a universal communicator and has many reasons. Yes, exactly, Hannah. Exactly. There are many reasons that we're going to see. Hey, pagan mama. A hawk. It just depends on where you're at, right? They don't have one message, and for us to just assume that the animal or the creature has one message for us is really limiting it. So you have to take it in context. You have to look at what, how does that animal live? Where does that animal reside? Where does it play? What does it take seriously? And how did it engage with you? Colleen, I wouldn't take that as a bad omen. No. Actually, I would see it as sort of like a territorializing of you. So is it possible that there is a message that maybe you belong to someone, or they belong to you in some way, or that, you should watch or pay attention to the footing of another person that you feel a strong connection to. Oh, well, that white hawk sounds like an elder. Sounds like, I'm surprised it doesn't get your chickens, so I'm not exactly sure. I mean, is it blind? I don't know. Very interesting. You got out of the truck, parked at the beach. I think you have to think about, who did you run into that day? Who did you talk to? Who was at the beach? What significance was the beach? That type of thing. The truck has to do with power. Is it your truck? Were you borrowing someone else's truck? Those kinds of things are the things I would think about. And I would let my mind consider all of those thoughts and then pull it together that way. That's the best way you can read that, because it's probably more than one thing. And you have to add them all up to tell the story, because Mother Earth is trying to give you a tarot card reading, not just a sign. You're getting the whole kit and caboodle. You're getting the whole sign. Okay, the whole reading, not just a sign. Yeah, hawk flying by your car would be, you're going in the right direction, you're doing the right thing. As long as it was smooth and easy, it would have been fine, Dana. I wouldn't have taken that as a bad thing. I would take that as a thing that you're on the right track. You're on the right path. Okay, so we've been asked about bobcat. I will talk about bobcat in a moment. We're going to talk about butterfly for a few minutes, and dragonflies next. Butterflies and dragonflies, we're going to talk to them sort of in hand. No, you're good, Colleen, don't worry. But it would be a sign to pay attention to the messages, and anything that comes your way, pay attention. And so that you're ahead of the game, that's all. Okay, so dragonflies and butterflies, they're both very light-hearted vibrations to some degree, in that we see them in the sun, we see them when it's warm. It sort of gives us this comfort, cozy feeling. We often see them when people that we love have died or passed. We see them visit us when we're looking to speak to someone who has passed. Both of them, both dragonfly and butterfly, depending on the person who passed and their connection to butterfly or dragonfly, will depend on which one. So I think that when I see butterflies, lots of times it could be, I kind of associate butterfly to old woman and young girl. For some reason, I do that. It can also represent an old man. So old person, or young, very young. Dragonfly to me would be more of the in-between. So someone dynamic, someone strong, someone witty, someone also could be someone who has mental health situations, and that has to do with the iridescent wings on the dragonfly. So keep in mind that, sometimes it could also represent mental health. It could represent psychic energy. The dragonfly can represent psychic energy. It could represent illusion, delusion, this type of thing. This is why I'm saying, it could represent mental health. So you want to think about how you saw that dragonfly. Right? The nice thing about dragonflies, I as a psychic, I find dragonflies are one of my things, and damselflies, and depending on what is going on, the damselfly will also show up a lot. I find the damselfly more of a sort of a swamp magic, or nighttime magic energy, or late afternoon. I don't know why, but I always feel that when they show up, when I do ritual at night or ceremony at night, especially if it's outside and they show up anytime before the sun goes down, I find that a magical infusion to my experience, just so you know. I'll speak about swans in a minute, Pega Mama. Hey, hold your horses. Oh, I'm sorry to hear it died. That's a message, though, for sure. So dragonfly and butterfly. Butterfly would also speak of new beginnings. new beginnings, cyclic energy, metamorphosis. As we know, they go through changes. So it could represent that you're at a certain point of a cycle that you're in. It could represent that, change is definitely coming. You may have to go through some, energy to get to it, but it's on its way and you're moving in the right direction. I always see it as a new beginning, though, because it does show up at summer. But when you see cocoons, that kind of gets into the later part of the year, and that sort of represents, putting your ducks in a row and getting ready for the winter. And then, of course, if you're seeing the larvae, it's kind of like a buzzing of energy, of community and creation. So there's all that. We saw dragonflies, 3 of them making out, 3 of them. So I didn't even realize they were polyamorous, but they are. They actually are polyamorous. So it occurred to me that dragonfly could also represent polyamory, and I never knew that until this year. So, allow yourself to grow and learn about the animal as you begin to learn more about it. So, although I see it as a delusionary or illusionary or psychic type of a vibration, it can also represent people that were dynamic individuals who have passed, and it can represent becoming more unique in your expression in life, such as polyamory. Okay? Oh, harmony, yes. Red-tailed hawks, being surrounded by them is definitely a message for you to think about your position as a teacher, as a person who shares her knowledge, as a person, especially if they're following you, they're kind of like pushing you. I think so. I think babies can see spirits, absolutely. Eagles are all about flying you're in your own way, and flying on your own, being confident to ride the waves and being one with the universe, flying closest to Creator, doing the work of a sacred teacher. Eagle is a leader. Eagle is very free and very willing to work on its own. It's very observant. It watches and sees many, many, many things, interprets things, is not so much of a judge as it is a discerner. So when I see eagle medicine, in fact, it's one of my medicine allies. Yes, I'll talk about swans soon, sweetie. Eagle is one of my animals as well, and it does sort of remind me every time I see eagle. It tells me, because you often see them alone too, about the strength I carry as a spiritual being, as a sacred teacher, as a wisdom speaker, as a wisdom keeper. I think that anybody who's connecting with eagles are probably that type of energy, people who are leaders and teachers and do the work of Creator, do the work of Spirit. Oh, I'll go look outside. No, I haven't. Thank you for that, Nicole. Okay, so let's talk a bit about heron first, because I did want to speak on that. When you see heron, they are one of the birds that they make a very large nest, and they often sit in colony, or make their nest in tall trees, not a lot of leaves, and they put their nest very close to the top of the tree, and they're all around each other. So you have these large colonies of herons. And herons, I think, represent a standing alone, or in pride, or in strength, or in resilience, in individuality, in being able to self-reliant. Even though they stand and work in colonies, they all have their own path, their own way of managing getting from A to Z. So that's a condition that anybody who works with heron would be considering. How you stand alone. And if you've seen a heron and an eagle, we're talking about 2 birds that stand alone or can work well alone, but they also work in large groups. So don't forget, we can see hundreds of eagles on the coastline, hundreds of them at the same time. We're in mating season, feeding time, this type of thing. So they will come together and work as community, both the heron and the eagle. They do know how to do that, but they also know how to leave their community and work strong on their own. So keep that in mind when you come into that. Okay, so yes, swans, beautiful swan energy. I love swan medicine. Swan medicine to me has an interesting combination between being gentle and aggressive, all at the same time. Okay, gentle and aggressive. So the gentle energy of the swan is especially with its youth. And we can see that as parents, it is a loving, nurturing, coveting kind of bird. And it is very peaceful. Oh, yes, I'll do bobcat too. Hold it. So I think the swan has this good balance of between, good parenting, good family being, family orientated type of a bird, and it also when it winters, it always returns to where it lived. So it has that memory and caring about its roots. The other thing is if you try to mess with its baby, it turns into the most aggressive bird I think I've ever known or ever seen. And they can be quite scary because, they look so graceful, and they do represent grace as well. And they look so graceful in the water, really peaceful, easy, chilling kind of bird. But mess with their baby. Go ahead and try. And they'll show you a whole other side to them. So if someone carries the medicine of a swan, know that about them. Know that they're gentle and loving and caring and supportive to their beings around them. But if you mess with them, you'll be first on their list for attack. Oh, thank you, Karina, for saying that. Yes, I did speak a little bit about crows. I will cut and paste what I said about crows and put it on my TikTok page here in the next couple of days. Okay, so come back and listen to the crow talk. Peace and love. So bobcat. Let's talk a little bit about bobcat. Bobcat, very interesting bird. Often the links of the bobcat energy is associated to sexual and sensual energy. Very interesting. Oh, you saved it, did you? Oh, wonderful. But is it sexual, sensual, cuddly kind of a creature? I mean, it can be very aggressive too, a bobcat, depending on, the position it's in and, the circumstances it's under. I'm glad you're bringing him to a home. That's good. He will need to be reintegrated as he is a bobcat. But the cats can be loving and sweet and caring for their masters, but they can also be very vicious and very much predators. And like, in fact, just a few moments ago, both my cats were having a fight here. My little girl cat's underneath this couch I'm sitting on, but she's a crazy little grumpy girl, and she doesn't like anybody around her. If she doesn't want anybody around her, she's crabby, and verbal about it. So, I mean, I know that bobcats can be very sneaky and can be very predator-like, and their sensual or sexual energy is high and strong. So when we run into one of them, or you, for instance, had to look after when you saved it, is it a message to save your passionate side? Is it a message for you to save your sensual being? Is it telling you that maybe you have tucked it away and that, it's been wounded and you need to bring it back out? Do you think that's happening, Pagan Mama? Did you get wounded? Do you need to bring your sensual side out again? Is that what it's maybe telling you? Thank you for the loves and the likes and all the joins and the follows. Thank you, everyone. That's so kind of you. I do appreciate those taps and follows. It's really, really awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks, Harmony. Jennifer, thank you. Yes, if you tap that screen a whole bunch of times, you'll send us back into the algorithm. Tigers and wolves. Let's talk about tigers and wolves. Yours was aggressive in a dream. Well, are you saying you were dreaming about a bobcat? Cats in general do represent our sensual side, or sexual side, or psychic side, or the side that's not so understood by everyone, you know. That's what that represents. Thank you for the love and the likes. Okay, so Bobcat. So yes, you see what I mean? So both of you were connected to this Bobcat. You, Pagan Mama, in real, and Ashreen in her dream. So if I was dreaming, oh, yours is about a swan or Bobcat? Like I said, Bobcat could represent a sexual secrets as well. So keep that in mind. The lynx especially is associated to sexual secrets. And it could represent traumas from sexual abuse. It could represent traumas from, yes, that type of deep thing. Yes, it could. And all kinds of messages come from the cat families around that. So when we're talking about cats in general, they can represent a sensual, passionate side of our being. It can represent sex, it can represent trauma around sex, it could represent being raped. It depends on how the cat comes to you. It depends on how the energy of the cat and what type of cat it is. So I'm going to just say, just off the hop, about this book here, okay? This book is called Animal Speak. And this one is called Animal Wise. And this one is called Nature Speak. These are all by Ted Andrews. These books have been with me for many moons, and there are a number of other people that I follow and I read up on for animal medicine teachings. Another one is Kenneth Meadows from Earth Medicine. And my favorite book, which isn't even here because I use it and it's up at the office. Anyways, it is Sun Bear's Earth Astrology Medicine Wheel teachings. They're very good. Those are very good books. All of them give you some good teaching about animals and what the connections are to astrology. For instance, the cat, the cougar, is associated to Pisces. The cougar is associated to Pisces, and so is the wolf. So when we look at the Pisces vibration, Kenneth Meadows and Sun Bear both have different views of it. And I think it has to do with the fact that you're living in, different areas. So if you're living where there's cougars, a lot of cougars, you may get that associated to the Pisces more than the wolf. So it depends on where you're living and what native tribe is considering the animal for that time of year, for instance. So this, anyways, Kenneth Meadows, he speaks of it being wolf. And I believe, he speaks of it being wolf, and Sun Bear speaks of it being cougar, sorry. So both of those animals are predators, okay? Both of those animals, but they're very different. So really when you think about, why would we get such a difference? That one there always struck me as very different from one another. But then I think of the Pisces vibration in Western astrology, and we have two fish. So two fish. Does that mean that maybe this Pisces vibration has the ability to have two completely different ways of their being? Maybe they're very much like a Gemini. I think in some ways it may be true, the way the Pisces vibration is. So when I look at it being cougar, I see that energy being very sleek, very sneaky, very careful, very nocturnal, could be sexual, could be sensual vibration, certainly curiosities, and aggressive energies, okay? The other would be the wolf energy, would be, leadership, pack mentality, hierarchy, teacher, healer, pathfinder. These are the energies of the wolf. So, we've got almost two very different types of energy. So when we associate an animal, those two animals like that, to Pisces, that just sort of really sends home the message for me about the depth of the Pisces and how much we really don't know about them. Okay? So let's talk about, someone was asking about, what was the other one there that we were being asked about? Let me just check here. You're welcome. Duck medicine. I like duck medicine, to be honest with you. And jaguar. Yeah, jaguar is a jaguar, by the way. That cat is associated more to shamanism and to the ancient ways of shamanic traditions. And that's a very rich and beautiful spiritual energy. So, like I said, all the cats are a little different. Leopard was another one you spoke about. Someone spoke about leopard, and leopard is about, having spots or having not so. We see the black leopard really as a panther, right? So the panther energy is extremely sensual, sexual energy. When you look in its face, that black cat really brings us that vibration. But when we look deeper and we see that there's spots on it, then we also know that there's a lot more complicated parts to that particular creature. So what does that mean? Probably that they have a lot of trauma. I would say that cat reminds us of the many experiences of trauma and the scars that it leaves. Okay? That's how I would see the panther or the black leopard. Alrighty. So mallard is about letting stuff fall to the wayside. They go underwater and come out dry. So that's kind of what the message is to let things go, let it fall off you, let it just roll off your back, and just let that water beat off your back and move on. So duck is really about moving on and not allowing things to bother you, not allowing all the small stuff to get in the way. And duck really sends a message to us to let the small stuff go, Don't sweat the small stuff. That's how I see duck. Right? Anybody else have any animal stories they want to share with me, and maybe I could help or give you more information? Hi, Francine. Who's in the room right now, would you mind tapping the screen, please, and sending our algorithm into hyperspace? Bear. Oh, yes, let's talk about bear. I love the bear. The bear is associated, by the way, to, it's a Western direction creature, but it's associated to the, oh my goodness, Virgo. There, sorry, I just lost it for a second. Hi from Jamaica. Cardinals flying at your face. Oh, yeah. They're basically telling you to get your act in gear and follow whatever rules or expectations you're being thrown at. That's what they say. Thank you for the loves and the likes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bear medicine. Bear is the strength, the courage, the dreamer, the go-within creature. So when I see bear, or the energy of bear, it tells me to pay attention to my dream time. It tells me to, plan my dream. Seriously, you can plan your dream, on the way to sleeping. You can be thinking about the bear and what message it may have for you. And what goals that you have that you would like some help from Spirit to do right, or what medicine teachings can you receive from the other side to help you achieve your goals. So I would ask duck to send that not duck, sorry, I was looking there. I would ask bear to send that message to me in my dream time. Bear is looks at our goals, our dreams, helps us to achieve them, gives us the strength and the courage to face them, to do the work, to get those things to happen in our life. Bear is about paying attention to the sweetness of life as well, and to be willing to step it up if you are in the face of extinction, for instance, where grizzly would go at you. But black bear, we're talking black bear's a lot of easier energy to handle. It is more sweet, is more passive, is one of the passive bears. So depending on the bear you're talking about, depends on the type of message. It definitely depends on the type of message you're given. So if it's a grizzly and it's a sleepy kind of an energy, then my cat's one in. If it's a sleepy kind of an energy, then hang on a second, sorry. So if you see a bear, let's say you see a bear laying in a meadow, and it is, sleeping. That's a good message. That's a peaceful, easy feeling kind of energy, right? Against seeing a bear that may be, standing on its hind legs coming at you, screeching, right? Yep. You could get a lot of bear energy with love. I would agree with you. Absolutely. There's a lot of sweet energy in a bear. They're not all aggressive and mean. You can ask questions, right? And we were talking about that, Amanda, about how dragonflies often associated to those that have passed over. And your personality is of an eagle, is it? Eagle's associated, it's kind of, in some ways, associated to Scorpio. Yeah, we were speaking about hummingbirds earlier. Oh, you dreamt of a dead donkey. Oh my goodness. Nice to meet you. Seagulls and donkeys. Those are discussions that we should get into. Hang on. Well, that's a wonderful thing to have, Nicole. Awesome. You're lucky. I do also live in an area where the animals come. I have bears in my backyard eating the apples, and, you see the bear skank, but they don't try to cause any trouble. They do come in my yard, though, which is a little worry for me if I let my dog out, because, he smells them, and he's wondering what's going on. Seagulls. To me, seagulls are, we know them to be in the garbage all the time, and bothering you for your French fries at the beach and so on. But they're communicators. You hear them squawking all the time. They hang out together with all their friends, and they're really community orientated. And they kind of remind me of just, regular community gatherings. People are walking up and down the road in the community, or what was I trying to say? Hang on. Sort of like a downtown bird. That's what I was trying to say. I'm thinking of Barrie, Ontario, where there's seagulls all around the downtown core and all around the waterways. So I think that they are very communication wise and love community. That their spirit is very communicate. I'm having trouble talking. I think that means I'm tired. So yeah, that's probably what it means. So seagulls are a reminder to get out into the community, be one with your people, with your peeps. That's how I would see that, okay? And there's two seagulls in one spot. Well, again, get out with your peeps. Get out with your friends. Get involved. That's what I would say. Even if it's only one at a time, one person at a time. Okay? So are there any other animals you want to talk about? Grizzly crying out in agony. That would remind me of someone that who is full of rage and anger, and the truth is they're just in pain emotionally. That's how I would associate that to someone or something. We did talk about butterflies, and I'll post that on my page later. Coyote. Coyote is also posted on my page, but I didn't get into great detail, but they really are about being playful and allowing yourself to see the opposite sides of, you're welcome, Sarah, see the opposite side of a situation. That's how I would see Coyote, okay? But here's the thing, before I go, because I am getting really super tired, and that's because I have jet lag, so I'm really sorry. And I'm realizing I'm losing my words because I'm that tired. But I would like to remind you of your familiars and your totem animals. Oh, that's an interesting animal. You're welcome. Thank you. My sister is the artist. Well, that's mine. I painted that one there. The Tower card. Thank you, Brent. So, I'm glad you did too. Thank you, Nicole, for coming. So I just want to remind you before you all go for the evening, folks. Make sure you're following me, first of all, because I'll be doing regular ones like this. This is the White Wolf Coven you've come to, and in the winter months we're going to be doing this live on Zoom. So if you're interested, go to my website. It's listed in my link tree, but it's earthandskyconnection.com or tamarewhitewolf.com, and go into the witchcraft workshop area and sign up for the White Wolf Coven. Okay, it'll be it'll be probably twice a month, and some months 3 times. Just depends. Anyways, and we'll be able to do some things together and meet each other and see each other's faces, okay? But in the meantime, I want you to be thinking about something. What is your animal? You know, if you are, what sign are you, and what your animal would be according to the native teachings, okay? That's important to know. So that's like an ally. There might be a witchy animal that you feel really connected to too, you know, like I have a number. I have eagle, I have wolf, I have bear, I have cats, I have dogs. You know, these are things that I feel a connection to. So what do you feel a connection to? And what is your spirit familiar vibration? What is your spirit totem energy? If you don't know what your spirit totems are, and you're interested, by the way, I do something called totem animal readings. It costs you money, but I'm worth it, and you could book that on my website as well. You just book the hour-long reading and say you want a totem animal reading, and I'll do one for you. That gives you 9 of the animals that are associated to your purposes in life, your skills, your weaknesses, all of it. So it's a really good reading to get if you are in, let's say, some sort of flux, just so you know. And well, actually, I could do it in a half an hour too. I could do that half an hour reading. You could just book the half an hour reading, and I could do a totem animal reading. If you want more than that, I could do a totem animal reading and more, but, you know, time. So anyways, that is important for you to know what your animal medicine is, what your animal strength is, okay? I am Tamare White Wolf, so White Wolf is one of my animals. I am Megazekwe. Eagle Woman is one of my spirit animals. Horses, elephants, yes. Horses are all about freedom. Elephants all about royalty. You know, when we look at what do those animals represent, you have to look at how it applies to you too. So if you're a horse person, that is someone who likes to have their freedom, likes to have, you know, the reins, likes to lead their own self, right? But at the same time doesn't mind being in small herds and community. Elephants actually the same. They like small, but they have smaller connections, small group connections. But they're older, and they've seen more, and they're wise, and they're calm, and they're caring. They have an energy very similar to swan, to be honest, only on a huge level, elephant. You have those animals on your body? Are you talking about tattoos? Dove? Oh, yes. Doves are, you know, they're about love and purity and standards, you know, certain standards and routines. They like those kinds of things. Tiger, oh yeah, tiger. Tiger is an animal that, yes, awesome. Tiger to me represents the father. Tiger to me is the one male energetic cat that seems to represent father energy or leadership energy, the patriarch, that type of energy. That's how I see the tiger. So, it could represent, if you have good medicine with the tiger, could represent having good medicine with your father. And likewise, if it's not good. Owl. Tiger's new. So you pulling in the man? Because it could represent you pulling in a man, pulling in your lover, pulling in father. Deer is about love. Owl's about deception and wisdom. Deer's about love, unconditional love, gentle love, spiritual love, forever love. Deer is associated also to Gemini. Yes, good for you then. Bring it on. Yeah, Deer is associated to Gemini energy. And so in case you didn't know. And it could be that you are a Gemini or that you love Geminis. Well, then you're just a medicine woman, Nicole. Owl is about wisdom and deception, using the wisdom to sort out deception. You're a gem. Right on. Oh, that's awesome. Isn't that funny? You're a gem. See that? So we often see our own medicines, what are associated to us. See, the wolf was always associated to me, but I am a Leo, so it didn't make quite a lot of sense to me, because Leo is associated in the native astrology is associated to salmon or sturgeon. And, I always wondered, why is that? So I figured out why, because Leos they are the big fish in the sea kind of thing, like the lion in the jungle, right? Same idea. Only they are the most emotional or most, the kindest or the easiest of the fire signs. Apparently they are. So they're mostly joy and playfulness, I guess that's the energy of the Leo there. But I was getting on to something else, right? Hang on a second. So, I always wondered how come. Oh, the wolf for me was, I am a Leo, yes, but I'm born in the house of Pisces, and that's why the wolf, I think, came to me the way it did. And also, I am a Scorpio moon sign, and eagle is associated to me because of that, I think. Taurus is the beaver. I wondered if someone would talk about the beaver. Yeah, a beaver is the builder, the family-orientated being, the house, the homebody, the home is important. Having plan A, plan B. Hey, son, how you doing, girl? And Sagittarian is the owl. Is the elk. Elk and owl is associated to the Sagittarian, depending on which native astrologer following you're doing. Kenneth Meadows, I believe, says it's the owl, and Sunbear says it's the elk. Good. Nice to see you. Nice to see you here. So yeah, Gemini is the deer, and deer is all about love. So, elk is about strength, and owl is about wisdom. And elk is also about stamina, just so you know. So all of these signs are associated to one of the animals that are predominant in the area that they live. Aries is hawk. Taurus is beaver. And, so it sort of speaks about, a hawk is, they're predators, but they're also, they're very observant, and they're messengers and teachers. And that's a message about the type of person an Aries is, right? And Taurus is the beaver, is the builder, is the home body, is the, come on, sweetheart. Push it open. Come on. Come on. Come on, baby. I can't get in. Cancer is the flicker. Yes, that was the other thing. Somebody wanted to talk about woodpecker. Cancer is the flicker, and Cap is the snow goose. Virgo's the bear. Okay, so each of them all have different meanings, right? So when we look at Cancer being the flicker, it's the Morse code, right? It's the communicator. It's tap, tap, tap. Flicker is a woodpecker. So they're tapping, they're communicating. So I would say that when you hear that when you see one, it is sort of like a message to you about, where you're at. So if you're a Cancer, it's a message directly to the Cancer. Hey, it looks like you're doing good. You're on the right path. You're doing really good, provided there's no big problem with the flicker or the woodpecker. But if you see it and you're not a Cancer, it might be a message to you to be more communicative, to take more time in sharing your thoughts and your feelings. So the same thing with the beaver. So the beaver, if you're a Taurus, you see the beaver, it might be a sign that you're on the right path and everything is going good and there's no problems. You're, sailing right through life doing good. But if you're just, a regular guy, not a Taurus at all, and you see a beaver, it could be representative or representing to you to take more time and patience with your home life, with your family. It could also represent, you may have plan A, you're going to set something up and this is going to happen, but something happens and you've got to have a plan B. So the beaver is a message as well to you to have plan A and B already thought out. Okay, so that's how I would see that. Snow goose, snow goose is about working together in community. Snow goose is the Capricorn. It's a worker. It's a worker energy because we see them in the sky together in the V shapes, in the V formations, and they push through the wind, and so the one at the front eventually gets tired and lags back, and the two right after, one moves forward and takes over. So, and then when that one gets tired, the same thing happens, and it keeps going like this, and all the birds end up being leaders. So it's a really good message. Capricorn has a really good message about honoring everyone as important. Everything and everyone in your community has importance of some kind. That's what the goose is saying, right? That's the energy of goose. So when what else was I talking about there? Hang on a second. Okay, Cap, Virgo, bear. We spoke about bear. Also, bear is about looking within, looking inside, seeing who you are, reflecting on the truth of yourself. And what better creature for Virgo to have, because they're over analyzing all the time, right? Always thinking about stuff like that. Oh yes, Aquarius. Aquarius is the otter. Otter, beautiful otter, playful otter, gentle otter. They are huggy bears. They are sweet. They love the water. They love the earth. Sort of like the beaver. Same idea. Although the otter prefers the earth much more than even the beaver. Fox. Yes. Fox is about family and about camouflage. So it is another one that is very careful with its family and its children. It would protect it would actually sacrifice itself to protect its child. That's the energy of fox. Aries is the hawk. Yes, and we've talked about the hawk and how beautiful it is and how many teachings it has for the most of us, because hawk seems to be the most common creature of all in terms of people asking, what does it mean when I see a hawk? You're welcome, son. Sanesa, I really don't know how to say your name right. Sanesa. Is that the right way to say your beautiful name? Sanesa. Sanesa. Would it be Sanesa? I'm waiting for you. Sanesa. Yes. Good. I said it right. Thank you. It's a beautiful name, by the way. I love your name very much. You're welcome. You're welcome. So, folks, I don't mean to be rude, but man, I am tired. I was in Ontario doing readings and seeing all my beautiful peeps, and I got jet lag, and I'm feeling it. I'm actually starting to lose words, so that's a sign for me to pick my butt up and go and have a little bite to eat and go off to bed. Thank you so much for joining me here. And I don't know if you know this, but I also have... Well, that's an interesting question. I want to answer it before I go. And before I go, hang on. Can our spirit animals be animals that aren't always our favorites? What a great question. What a great question. Yes, they certainly can. And that is because there is a part of you that doesn't like yourself. And you need to look at that creature and figure it out. You need to do some work with that, healing work with that creature. What animal is it, honey? Yeah, it's only 8:14 here, but I'm feeling it. In Ontario, it would be 11. I don't think I have adjusted yet. What animal? Crestfallen cat. What animal are we talking about? Okay, so in the meantime, I want to remind you that I have another channel called Earth and Sky Connection Inc. You might want to join it because I put different content on there, and there's some pretty awesome viral, posts that I made. Deer isn't your favorite animal. Well, that has something to do with your, I would say it has something to do with your lack of loving yourself fully. I would say there's an issue with unconditional love. Maybe that it's not something that you're given to the right people. Sometimes we give unconditional love to the wrong person. And if that's the case, you could have something messed up inside. I need to know exactly what's going on with your love life, for starters. And I'd be able to tell you why that animal doesn't speak to your soul. Thank you, Elizabeth. Been wearing it a long time. Octopus? Well, that's another good one. See, you just keep my ADHD going and I'll stick it out here. Boundaries. Yeah, maybe. Octopus is a very interesting, deep creature, right? It's deep in the water, deep in the ocean. It represents knowing yourself deeply, to seeing all the layers of a situation, taking your time to really observe and learn something, to know something, to, sort of like good wine, take good time, like cheese, take your time. Learning, knowing, understanding something. I think it is slow moving, but quick when it sees what it wants, and that's a good lesson as well. And it can be from small to huge, and maybe that has something to do with the level of your notoriety. So maybe you could have a small business and make it huge with the energy of octopus, for instance. That's how I see it. I am a shaman witch. I have the ability to understand animals in a way that I wish every single person would try to do that. Do I take anything for ADHD? Actually, coffee helps, to be honest. And this, kunzite. I keep it near me. When I need it, I hold on to it. Right? Thank you, Moth. Right? Coffee helps. Coffee helps. Although I'm not drinking coffee now. I'm going to go to bed soon, that's all. I got to get my energy back. So I'll use the kunzite, and that helps me a lot. Just calms it down. Bugs. So understanding animals, and I would also, I have an ability to know what they're thinking. Sometimes they're very funny, and I can actually tell you what their little ears are saying, and their faces. And in fact, I live here in Nanaimo, BC. My other page is Earth and Sky Connection Inc. INC. And there is an Earth and Sky Connection Ontario. That's another store. That was my store. I sold it to my girlfriend. Right? They have animals can speak and can communicate. So on Sundays here at my store, I'm doing free readings about what your animal thinks of you. And if there's a problem, I'll tell you what the animal's thinking about whatever it is, not just of you. But I am doing it for free, just for fun. I get people to come out to my store. So if you're in Nanaimo and you have a pet and you would like me to do a little reading on what your pet thinks of you, come out here. I'm at 1280 Scotchtown Road, South Wellington, which is considered Nanaimo region. And we're open from 10 to 4 all weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Anyways, you guys are awesome. Do me a favor and hit that screen a whole bunch of times. Send some love into the room. Yes, Earth Medicine. Have you read the book? Yes. That's what I was just showing you guys. That this is one of the books that my teachings have come from. And also Sun Bear. To be honest with you, Sun Bear's the other one. In fact, I know that one even more so. Yes, beautiful book. So you guys have a great night. Sending you love. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the follows. And next time, I'll see you soon. I am going to be doing some psychic readings on Friday for $20 and $40 on this channel. And I'll see y'all soon. Take good care. Send lots of love. Night. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night. See you next time. Don't forget to go to my website and join and register for the White Wolf Coven if you want to see more in the wintertime too. Take care. Bye.